do that?
I don't know. It sounded like we weren't live for some kind of reasons. Now we are live. Yes. So nobody was. I received the messages here that they weren't kind of really kind of hearing us, but we're live now. Somehow they got interrupted for some sort of reasons. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. Jackie was just saying that she started singing in a sort of conservatory, kind of a European style sort of conservatory, right?
Yes. Well, when I went to undergrad for Carnegie Mellon, it was voice performance. So that I got a BFA in voice. So it was definitely a conservatory 4-year situation. So that's why I knew I wanted to get my master's, but I knew I didn't want to get my master's in voice. I was like, oh, I'm ready to perform. I felt, if I could get through 4 years of Carnegie as far as my voice training, and it definitely had a ton of acting training and dance training. It was very performance, and that I'd be fine. It was just later on that I ended up getting my master's and working on my doctorate in other things, but in stage directing and theater. But I happened to do that in New York City, so I was within the plethora of the theater music world and all of that. All of that.
Yeah. So you were thinking about singing something else for us, right?
Oh, sure.
Apparently we missed part of the first.
You know what? So in other words, since we weren't live, no one would have heard that. Even when it goes onto YouTube, it'll be just speaking like silence. So that being the case, let me sing the Ave Maria again.
Yeah, sure.
I would like to. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so let me do this. Okay. This is the Ave Maria from the opera Otello by Verdi. This is Desdemona's aria. And it's at the end of the opera when she's basically saying her prayer, Ave Maria, pray for me, pray for all of us. How little does she know that when she falls asleep, that unfortunately Otello is going to come and kill her in her sleep because of the feelings and the vengeance and the jealousies that he's had. Meanwhile, though, Desdemona to me is one of my favorite Verdi roles in terms of her innocence, her truth, her faith, her goodness, and her devotion to Otello and her love. And she would never be dishonest. And so this Ave Maria has a twofold situation, as far as a twofold meaning for me now, as far as praying for us, our world, with what we've just gone through and what we continue to go through in everything, for the whole of society. So here we are. So, wait a minute. Okay, I had it set up before where there was no
Lindor,
no ad
to melt you by the Mint Master Chocolatier.
Okay.
I
don't know why this is. Okay, here we go. Wait a minute.
It was not the sponsor. The chocolatier was not the sponsor.
No. Yeah. Okay, here we go now. Take two.
Ave Maria, piena di grazia, eletta fra le spose, le vergini sei tu. Sia benedetta il frutto, oh benedetta, di tue materne viscere, Gesù. Ave Maria. È l'ora della morte. Let me stop it before another ad comes on. Thank you.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. It gives me chills to hear it and to say it.
Wow. You know, this piece is it's I did a section of the piece, but this piece is very deceivably simple and amazingly difficult as well. People don't realize what you have to do with it to make it simple and real, but yet it's in the style of opera. That's not always so easy to do in grand opera when everything is, a lot is grand. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a lot of things that you have to think about when you prepare for those kind of roles, right? It's
these kinds of roles, especially because she's very inward. But this particular kind of music is very, very little there. It's all voice. So you're very exposed vocally. As well.
And not only the voice, and I was thinking when you were singing it that you have really kind of to interpret the piece, to be there, to understand the emotion that this person is actually feeling in that moment, portray everything with the voice, with the music, and with your acting at the same time, and then all the nuances in the kind of the technical things. It seems like oh yeah, well, I can just listen. I mean, I have accompanied students at times, and then they're just like, I can listen to a YouTube video and just learn the song, and then I would do it. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. How do you prepare for any kind of role? So I know that you do so different things, but
right. As far as a role, well, there's roles like I've done with Musetta, Micaela, the secondary lead role, and then there's roles which I do like Cio-Cio San in Madama Butterfly, or Mimi in Bohème, or Tosca. So I'll do an example of those, and I feel, at least for myself, the secondary roles are kind of like, I mean, you can always learn things fast if you have to. But the ideal situation is, for me, 3 months on those secondary roles. I feel 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I obviously look at the words first. I listen to recordings here and there. And then I start learning notes, plunking things out on my right hand. When I try not to solidify vocally things too quickly, because our vocal cords are muscles and they can start to grip onto things quickly and learn things quickly. So I try to kind of have a gauge of that, maybe 1 month in or 2 weeks in, take certain parts of the role to a coach or my voice teacher as I'm doing it. Say with the shorter roles, maybe I have a solidification of the role, a template for about a month and a half. Mm-hmm. And then that last month and a half, I solidify things. And it's not until, because we have the memorization, and this can apply to the lead roles, which usually take me more like 5-6 months in terms of that situation and that process. I try not to always memorize things so quickly. Sometimes that happens subconsciously while you're practicing, while you're learning. The words are coming, bits and pieces. Because again, once things solidify memorize-wise, that gets into the mental brain, it gets into the voice very quickly, and it's hard to maybe change things here and there. I find for myself, the last month of the role, whether it's a 3-month situation process for me or a 6-month, is at the last month or so of it, and last month or 2 or month and a half as far as a 6-month role, to solidify things in my body more, in my voice more, and in my memorization more. And there are times, I will be very open, I'm slightly dyslexic. So memorization can be tricky. French is the hardest for me. I spoke French for a bit. That helped a lot as far as memorization, but French is so blah, 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 blah. So I literally have to see words and visualize things. Luckily, I have somewhat of a photographic memory, and that helps. And there are times when I can see words going across. You in the beginning, of course, everything happens, everything is very solidified, but I can see music across as I'm singing, and that is helpful. But I could easily sometimes, with certain vowels in other languages, switch things and flip things around. There were times when sometimes note patterns could be flipped around, especially when I was doing coloratura. There were times where I had to sit there and have my hand play notes so I could feel the passages of where they would go up and down. And that translated up into my body and into my brain and into my mind as well. And then I would put that away and not even feel the physical situation or see the notes, but I would sometimes physicalize things in my hand and just sing and in that sense.
Right. So I think many don't really realize how much work we put when I mean, as a pianist here, you put a lot of work for in our concert, and some people just like say, oh yeah, you can play here, you can play there. Like, no, it's just work, right? And then for an opera, it's just like a long thing where you have to get into the scene. You're basically leaving that that kind of story, right? When you are in the opera, you're almost leaving that story for that long time, and it's a lot of stress to be on the stage and have everything set up just like mentally, right? So not only the preparation, but also kind of you have to be mentally prepared to be on the stage for so long, which is not easy, right?
Yeah, we are athletes. We are marathon athletes. I mean, I had very Butterfly is the role that I've done the most, and I had quite a long ride with her, and I still do. Maybe 20 years or so with her. Right. But, she's 299 pages or so, depending on cuts. And that's one of the longest. And to me, she was the long distance runner. But on the flip side, it was nice to have her in my early stage of career because my voice is a long distance situation. I would have people say to me, when most butterflies usually are pittering out at the end, you're running, you're constantly running.
Right.
I'm not pittering out. I'm having the marathon run. Hopefully that's going to happen while I started taking up running again. So that's starting to happen. But vocally, that was the case for me. But I have to say, and I use her as an example, for the other roles, such as what I've done 2 Aidas in concerts. That's a lot of music too, but I can pace myself. I know how to do. The Butterfly was my foundation for pacing myself for these big girls, as far as a ton of music. For one Traviata, and she's a ton of music as well, Violetta. But it's true, as far as we start to also embody these people. I studied what the geisha is like, what is Suor Angelica is like, the Tosca, the courtesan, right. The flower seller and maker, and the Paris and where they're living and at the time period. And how people acted. It's so much of a study in theater and life, because art depicts life in every form.
Yeah, I was just saying because basically, all those roles are examples of how the humans are, right? The human beings are that way. They have this kind of personalities. They have these feelings. They have these emotions. And as a performer, I mean, for piano, I have to understand that, but I don't have to really kind of, act right. While I'm playing. But so for you as a singer, you always have really have to understand that and feel them. And if you don't know, I think when I think about young singers at times, I think they haven't lived enough to really kind of fully understand the depth of some kind of feelings, right? So that you can sing it beautifully, right? Because if you're technically, you've practiced, you've kind of studied the notes, the songs, but then I think then there's this deep understanding of how humans think and act that, you reach only with a certain level of maturity then, right? When you really kind of have lived certain things, right?
Right. The more we've lived life, the more as an artist we can portray life and put what our life and our life experiences into these other characters that we do, because it's going to be a blend. It's going to be a metamorphosis. It's always going to be a part of you into those roles. And that's what makes every Cio-Cio San special. My Cio-Cio San may not be the same as my colleagues. My Tosca not the same as my colleagues. And that's exciting, I think.
Right. Yes, because so we were talking when we were kind of doing this pre-interview task, right? We were talking about how we collect all these experiences, and these experiences make us who we actually are, right? Who is then Jaqueline Quirk overall? Then not just as a singer. What do you do to to be the person you are, right?
And I have to say, Antonella, I love the way you say my name, Jackie Quink. I love it. No one says that. I mean, in the opera world, I am known as Jacqueline, which is fine. But it's so great. It's so great that because in the music theater world, prior to opera world, I was Jackie Quirk, and I love hearing you say it because it's so cute. I love it with your Italian accent. I love it. I had to tell you.
That's okay. So yeah, what makes you the person you are? So what do you do outside, singing that keeps you what keeps you grounded, and then just
as a person
makes you also always developing a little bit more and then growing as an artist?
Great question, because what we do is what we do. It's not necessarily completely who we are. This is what I do. I am always Jacqueline. I'm always Jackie first. And sometimes it takes those of us who are opera singers who have to be so focused in opera. Oh, I'm an opera singer. Well, we can't forget who you are too. You are a person, just like everybody else. We are human, and we have blood that flows through our veins. Some of us think it's a different color, but that's okay. But anyway, I try as far as, when we're not doing music, when I'm not teaching voice, when I'm not consulting students or young singers with my Performers Forum, my at-home business and studio, or doing master classes and learning roles or concertizing or whatnot. I love to see movies, because movies, I'm a very visual person. Movies really help me visualize and see things. I love seeing performances that I'm not in. I love dancing. I love taking dance and dance classes. I love seeing the dancers and the physicality of that. I love fine art, and we can talk about that a little bit later. I've gotten into the fine art business with art and conversation, and we can talk more about that. Some of the art world, my mom was an artist. My brother is a very, very talented artist, but the art world always comes into my life by osmosis. I don't call it in, it just does. So I love that. I love to be one with nature. I love toiling with the land. As far as my garden, I've got 12 rose bushes. So I love getting my fingers dirty. Opera divas, at least this one loves to get her hands dirty and in there. I love, as of now, especially as of now, going back into my yoga practice as a yogina, and I kind of call myself a yogina, and going into that as well. And then I always felt this to be a calling for me, but didn't really put it into practice because I have more time now, prior to when the COVID started, of doing more holistic work, holistic energy, holistic meditation, intuitive holistic work with a holistic academy, and honing in on some of that. And as of late, I mean, we're always constantly working on our, opera is an art form, and we hear it, but it's also a visual form.
Yes.
We can't hide that, no matter how hard we want to sometimes. And we all come in all shapes and sizes. I have been a tiny shape and size when I was modeling with TV, and I have been a larger size that my body doesn't tend to. I loved myself then, but I knew it wasn't healthy. And I'm so happy now. I lost 1 more pound this week. I've lost 25. I've got about 10 to 13 to go. And I realized, with the help of a lot of team spirit and team motivation, that how much I really do love exercising. I had forgotten, and I had forgotten. And part of the reason why I had forgotten, we'll get to this, I was in Miss America. It's not easy to get into Miss America. I was just a little while ago. No, not really.
How did it happen? Just tell us. Because I mean, nobody just thinks, okay, I will go to Miss America now.
Right, I know. And that was Miss America years. That again was something that of course, every girl, or at least I did, I would watch it on TV and be like, oh my gosh, I love that one. She's pretty. Oh, look at her body. Look at the way she's singing. Oh, I want to be a performer. It was all about performing to me. It's a stage, whatever. Did I want to become a Miss America then? I didn't know. But I'd say in high school, I had a teacher who was the drama teacher and helped out with the plays. And he's like, have you ever thought of going out for Miss Middletown? That was that town at the time. I went to Middletown High School South, and I'm like, no, what's that? Is there one? Okay, let's do it. He's like, oh, I'll support you. I'll help you. Let's try it. So I did, and I won it. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I get to sing on a stage. I get to do an interview. I get to do this, that, and the other thing. And then that was just in high school. And then, I think it was just Miss Middletown with high school situation. And then once I get to college, oh my gosh, I had mentors. One was a former Miss Vermont. One was a Miss Pennsylvania. And it wasn't until Carnegie Mellon that I had a Miss Pennsylvania former said, have you thought about the Miss America circuit, competing in the Miss America circuit? No, I haven't. Should I? Yeah, you should. So, bam, I did. Competed a little bit in Pennsylvania while I was in Carnegie. I was like, oh, I'm winning money. Oh, I got first runner-up, second runner-up. I'm winning more money. Oh, this is nice. Okay, now I can compete a little bit in New Jersey because my folks live there. I compete a little bit in New York because I was going to graduate school there. Winning more money, started working on my doctorate. It was a 3-year, as far as the Miss America circuit, it was a 3-year situation that I did off and on, not full time at all. But I was like, gosh, I'm getting more money. This is great. Oh, I'm getting money for my voice lessons and this and that. And even this nice scholarship wise. And I said, hey, I get to perform. This is great. And meanwhile, I was also honing my skills. Believe it or not, I was a really shy kid. Really shy. Yeah. I was the least shy when I became something else, when I became a character, when I played with my dolls and acted. Completely that situation. I think I remember when we moved in 3rd grade and I went from Catholic school to public school, it was like, I was even shyer. So the arts, the performing arts, which can do so much for us, and the arts as well can bring us out as people. So what I found that the Miss America system started to do for me, it was bringing me out as a person, as Jacqueline Quirk, as being able to speak to people, being able to write papers, being able to do a speech. And then all of a sudden, the performing part was fun and easy. I loved fashion. I loved that visual world and picking out gowns and outfits and whatnot. But also, then there was the physical end. And I loved being physically fit. I used to compete swimming competitively. But, things go up and down. College, you gain freshman 15, the sophomore 10, things go up and down. Then I realized, okay, I'm getting in more shape being in this Miss America system. This is great. I got down to TV ready. When people ask me what TV ready is, it's, you're a little thinner than the norm, for stage. And I remember that was, I got down to where I wanted to be weight wise, and I was only in my 20s, so I should be, and I was never super heavy then at all, but I was like, I'm ready for TV. And I had a lot of contracts actually after that, TV wise. And so lo and behold, at the time went to Miss America and had a blast. So I did well there, and that's that. And now at this point, I judge here and there when I'm asked. Which
I read that. But so I see. It seems like for me, compared to many girls, probably I don't know. I've never met anybody who competed for Miss America, so I don't know. I'm just like assuming that they are more focused on themselves, on their beauty, on kind of being. For you, it was more a matter of, I can be on the stage, I can perform, awesome, right? I think so. I kind of that feeling at least.
No, that's a good question, and that's a good observation on your end. Here's the thing. There are some, I can't speak for all. There are some maybe that were brought up in the Miss America system from very young, and competed very young before Miss America. And it was all about me. I want to be the Miss America. I want to miss this, miss that, and then win the crown. Great. More power to you. I don't judge. Myself, however, don't get me wrong. If I became Miss America, don't get me wrong. If I became Miss America, that would be great. I'd be happy with it. I didn't go into the system not wanting to be the best I could be in any level, whether it was, okay, I was Miss Monmouth County. Okay, I want to be Miss New Jersey. I was Miss Greater New York City. I want to be Miss New York.
Right.
And and again, I fell into the organization through other people saying things to me, but and maybe I'm explaining it a little bit nonchalantly, but I remember listening and having the gleam in my eye and my head of, oh, this could go to further things, whether it's a miss or not. I see a job here. And it did for me go to further things. After my Miss Vermont contract with Miss America, I ended up right after that getting a contract for the USO of Metropolitan New York, which was for New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, and performing with the USO, which I had heard of the USO, but didn't really appreciate or know what it really stood for. And then having the aspects of performing with the USO and meeting Bob Hope, and also doing a couple things where a little bit of overseas things in the Plaza Hotel, and performing in hospitals and veterans hospitals, from gala events to veterans hospitals. And then knowing what my contribution, my small contribution through myself and my voice was doing for others, to me was the greater good. You know?
Yeah, I was thinking yesterday that, I was thinking about the interview today, and then I kind of remember that, and since I know you, I have seen you always taking just like everything with enthusiasm, like, it didn't matter if it was like singing in a small place or a big place. And for you, it's the same beautiful thing, because you're bringing your voice, to others, and then you're bringing art, and art is beautiful anyway. So you're reaching whoever is listening. It doesn't matter if it is just like it's very small, tiny place, or kind of I think you sang on the porch sometime during COVID, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, my neighbors before Christmas Eve, they were like,
I mean, but for you, it was the same thing. I thought that you presented the same thing, singing in the porch or singing in the opera. It was for you the same beautiful experience.
Singing at 3,000 seat theater, singing in Lincoln Center, absolutely, singing is singing. It's about being the messenger. It's about sharing the gift I was given and that I've worked really hard on, and that I continue to do so with others, for the God grace of humanity, for all of a sudden being able to be like, oh, I want to do that for a little kid or a little girl or a little boy, or what's that language, Mom? Oh, that's Italian. What's that, opera? Oh, wow. All these little things that you may touch somebody in some kind of way. Absolutely.
That's beautiful. That's very beautiful. So you're very versatile, right? In all things you do. You're just like, it's not that you just only, sing in the opera. So I'm not, you don't say, oh, I'm just a soprano, I only sing opera, I just do this in life. That's not what you only do, right?
Right, absolutely. I mean, I consider myself an international opera singer, but I also say it depends on the settings. I say I'm a performer, because I have to embrace the aspects of where my study and my training came from prior, and what I loved as far as big band. My first manager was the Tommy Dorsey manager with big band and all of that. And then going into the theater aspects of training with a little bit of the Yale School of Drama and Shakespeare with Oxford Summer Abroad, and doing some classical Shakespeare, and Jeremy Irons was a guest artist, and Damien Glover. I remember kind of having constantly this pull of like theater, opera, a little bit of film, and kind of, but then everything metamorphosized the way it was supposed to be for me. But there was also a part of me that was like, oh, should I not say, should I not, you go through a phase maybe in your 20s and 30s or so of like, no, don't talk about that. I'm a classical singer. I must focus. Yes. The more focused you are, the better you are. And that is for some people work that way, and that's wonderful. And then I realized as later on, all of that other stuff has only helped me now for me, for the better. And when things are shutting down, like opera houses, I know what it's like to sing big band. I know what it's like to sing Broadway, and I know what it's like to sing crossover. And I love sacred music, and I do not Luckily, again, for bel canto technique, it's not for everyone being able to cross over and move into all of these realms. But that's what has worked for me throughout my career, but now more than ever. And I really embrace it. And for anyone who feels like they have this eclectic mix, this versatility, embrace it. Embrace it, young singers, whether you're 20s or 30s or later, because it is possible. You do have to keep yourself very organized, and you have to maybe, I will always say that opera singing is the hardest as far as vocally and technique and the stamina needed for that. So you have to make sure that that's still intact when you're crossing over into these other things. These other things now for me are like roll out of beds and sing. Now, do I want to do that all and only full time right now? No. But I know that I won't be singing opera for the rest of my life, you know? So maybe after 20 years, maybe after 20 years, who knows? I'll either, decide to go into the other things full time, you know? And you have to hear what the voice is telling you too. You have to listen to
the voice changes too over time, right? So technically, so you mature and it kind of changes the way that you control it, and then you absolutely.
So many ways,
You were mentioning before you're kind of still taking lessons, you're still going to coaches, you're still going to master classes and things like that. So
right. And I'm grateful.
I do that too, right? Because I think that's when we can never stop improving ourselves. It doesn't matter if then I'm taking a yoga class so that I can learn meditation, so that I can do something else, for my job, or it is just really improving technically, or kind of listening to somebody else who has more experience than me. That I think this is very important to keep improving, right? And you do it, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. And we have to, and we had talked about that too, that it's okay to be open to someone knowing where you are and respecting where you are, but also to be able to see what the growth is further and be open to that. And then noticing like, oh my gosh, there is this growth, and it has happened. And it's exciting because we talked about once our craft or our art stops growing, that's when we have to start thinking about things and wondering.
Right. I think especially now the pandemic has shown that if you were open to new possibilities now, for example, having an interview online, or having singing with somebody else who is on the other side of the world, or kind of starting a YouTube channel like I did with this one. Right. So all those things, they come only if you're open to new possibilities. You don't close and say, oh, I'm a pianist, I'm sorry, they cancel all the concerts, cannot do anything anymore, cannot even teach because, online teaching is kind of, not the same, so I don't do it. So, and then what do you do? I mean, you don't know if the pandemic, we didn't know if the pandemic was going to last for 1 month or, a year, right?
We didn't really know, and we still don't know. So you kind of have to I remember I talked to you about this, like, I remember having 12 days exactly of like, I didn't sing after March 10th when everything kind of really shut down and 12, exactly 12. And I remember going, if I don't sing now, I may never. And it was just like, okay, full force, get in my studio, let's go. And I haven't stopped since.
Right. Yes. Right. Yes. I know you are very active in the performer forum. I'm there too, right? In your group, so I kind of see all the things that you post with the students. So how does it work with kind of how do you organize? Whoever wants to work with you and then improve as a performer, as a singer. How do you work with them usually?
Good question. Well, the Performers Forum organization I've had for about 30 years now. I started in grad school, and it's metamorphosized since then. Obviously, most of it in the beginning was live voice lessons. And a lot of it was, once I built my studio up, it was, advertising first before taking on people. And a lot of people were people that I didn't know. And then there was also an umbrella under that. It was the Performers Forum because it was also a forum to encompass not only my teaching, but lecturing, also master classes, also concerts, also getting clients who wanted to work one-on-one on a certain aspect of their craft, of their talent, and of their career. Now, since then, that's still been the same name. It still has metamorphosized even more so now into the online studio that I have, which I have about 20 students now. I would say out of the 20, I have about 3 that are doing live. Yeah, which is great. And I'm sure more of that will happen. But at first, and it wasn't that I didn't do online prior to COVID, but now it just was a lot more. And to be honest with you, a lot of it has been word of mouth. I put advertisings here and there, whatnot, but a lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of it has been referrals. And because I've been teaching a while, I remember now that we have this online situation, I have a lot of students who studied with me prior who want to continue, and they were open to online studying. And so, and everybody does it a little differently as far as the teachers. It took me a good maybe 2 months to get my groove on. You know, I was like, oh, I still have my Skype account. Oh my God, that's 2016 since I taught my last lesson. Okay, so, you know, I have all formats as to what I use as far as online work. And then I have different payment plans. Right now I have 3 days a week that I cram in my students, Monday, Tuesday, Saturdays. I am still accepting students too, probably about 3 or so that I can still accept. I decided, I could do this 5 days a week, but I decided, no, I don't want to do that quite yet at this point because I'm, you know, managing other things.
I mean, as a performer, you need to have time to really kind of work for yourself, right? It's like practice, you know, it's not just we teach, I know everything because I'm teaching. I know everything. I'm a kind of, I know everything about singing, every single song that you will bring me, every single aria. So you will need to kind of really work on our repertoire, right?
On our craft as well. Yeah, because you know, when you work on your craft, you can become a better teacher, and then vice versa. Even my voice teacher in New York, he's like, I'm glad you're teaching because you're coming in with a whole new aspect of your voice. I'm like, really? Okay. You know, so you have to explain what you do to others. And that's a whole nother technique in itself to try to do.
Right. I think I better my kind of own playing, you know, while teaching, because, you know, you have to make sense of what you would like students to do, and then you say, okay, so how should I explain that? So then you understand better also for yourself, because you have to, you know, put things in words and then say, oh, that is how they might understand it, right?
Yeah,
so
you have to process it.
What do you think about the best attitude that a student might have, you know, when coming to a studio and just trying to work with you, or I mean, or with any kind of teacher? So I think now I tell you my experience with students. I think it's all a matter of really the initial attitude, right? So that somebody might have towards really learning in general, right? If I have a new student and I explain something, it's okay, you know, the student is not understood, is not doing well the first time, the second time, but I still want to see, probably as a teacher, really kind of that attitude towards learning, like, you know, the willingness to learn and improve, and acceptance also of mistakes. You know, just we improve through mistakes, right? If you tell me, oh, Antonella, you sang this and this way, which is okay, but, you know, could be better. So I have to accept that, you know, I know if I would find a student telling me, oh, no, I sang it perfectly, I would say, okay, right? So, yeah.
Sure. I have to say, I've never had an experience where I have had a student tell me I sang it perfectly, which is great. I'm glad I haven't, because maybe I would just not speak at all, you know. But here's the thing. But here's the thing, because again, now there's a live situation and there's an online situation. And I noticed that the communication can be slightly different of how you have to teach and how you have to let's say, just communicate to the students in ways that are positive but yet constructive, in both situations, live or not. But I feel that it can sometimes, especially with a new student, it can sometimes just take a while for the energies to meld within each other, and maybe 3 months or so to kind of get what you need out of that student. And everyone is unique. I may have a plan, and I do have a plan of what I need to do, but it's like, well, this will fit someone this way, this will fit someone that way, but it's still somewhat of a plan, of a basis of that bel canto, and how we apply it, how they learn it, how fast they learn it, and what they apply it to is always a little different. And so I try to take on what I'm getting from the student as far as their own pace, how they're processing it, what kind of practicing they're doing in between lessons. Because I have
a lot of difference, right? The way that you practice, just like it makes a huge difference, because you can teach beautifully and they can understand it, but if there's no practice, right, or practice in the right way, by paying attention to certain things, it just doesn't work, right?
That can always be tricky as far as where the level is going, or how fast it's going with regard to the practice aspect. So I try to talk to them about practice situations and whatnot, of how that can work. But I have people that I have ages from, I have taught ages 5 to 76. Right now in my studio, I have 12 to about 76. And they're all coming to me from beginners to some people who have already sung and had a career and are just coming back to singing, to some who are professional and some are pre-professional. So as we talk about flexibility and being an eclectic situation, that's the kind of teacher I am. Not all my colleagues want that kind of a studio, but that has tended to work for me. And I have my first, who knew, COVID, there's a lot of firsts. I had my first, right now I have one, but I had 2 transgender students as well for voice. And it was the whole gamut, one going male to female and one would going female to male. So it was like, oh wait, what part of the keyboard are we on now?
Right. Yes. Yeah. No, it's a beautiful that and it's very different if you teach 5 years old, because obviously the voice is not developed in a certain way, so you have to teach certain things, right? And then teaching something who's in the 20s and is preparing for a singing career, and somebody who is later and then just singing for fun. I mean, it's very different teaching style that you need to use, right?
Absolutely,
all those students. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very, very different. And luckily, I haven't had any major pushback. I would say there are times as you get students who are adults. I think as we become adults, whether you're a professional or you're not a professional, you're an easier time to put up barriers and put up bars, whether it's for singing and learning how to sing or work on your voice or whatever kind of profession. So you have to feel that person out as far as what kind of barriers are they dealing with. And I noticed myself as I worked on myself holistically that I can feel a lot of energy through people live and through the ethers,
right?
Through Facebook. And when I'm teaching, I can feel a lot of it. Most of my students don't really know this, but I know a lot of things before they tell me of what they're dealing with that day or just dealing with in general. So I try to gear my teaching style to each person that way. I'm finding it fascinating about myself and how that works. And sometimes it's always a voice lesson, but there's a lot of therapy that comes through music.
Yeah, I had the experience too that you feel that the student is going through something, and sometimes even the word or kind of certain things that you include in your teaching can help getting through that period and just becoming better. So if somebody would like to start voice lessons, let's say that, what would you suggest? Where would you start looking at? Let's say that I want to start voice lessons, and I have no idea how to start. I probably would start looking on Google voice lessons, voice teacher, and something like that. So where would you start?
What I would do first is not look on Google, not look on YouTube. I would first start to it depends on what they want in their voice career. But even so, I would do it an old-fashioned situation. Almost every town has a music academy, piano academy like yourself, conservatory, Monmouth Conservatory of Music here. Right. I would make sure you find whatever town you're in, whatever city you're in, make a list of those academies, those conservatories, those a performing arts center. And maybe there's 2, maybe there's 1, maybe there's 10, and then start to look at those websites. Then go to the internet, start to look at those websites, see what kinds of voice situations they offer, then see what kind of faculty they have, as well as what kind of bios the faculty have as well. Say if you don't know anyone in the field at all, and then if maybe you find 1 or 2 that you think, that you could possibly work with from where you're coming from vocally, whether it's beginner, intermediate or advanced, try to find maybe 1 or 2 that still is taking students in some of those institutions, and set up a live, hopefully live, if it's not live, an online consult with them, and see how that works for you in that sense. Or it's not bad if you know other musicians who are singers or just musicians. Ask them, do you know of a voice teacher? Do you know of any voice teachers? Word of mouth is one of the best situations in all of that.
I mean, when I started piano lessons, obviously my parents didn't know anything of that. It was, a long time ago. So they just went to somebody locally that was teaching piano, which was kind of okay, but, not the best teacher I could have had at that point, right? But obviously my parents didn't know. Okay, I have to look at the bio. I have to look if they have a diploma in the conservatory. I have to look if they have a sort of degree in something, right? I mean, if somebody has a degree in math, it can sing a little bit. Okay, maybe you can go and just learn a song, but it's a very different thing, if you really want to be serious about
if that teacher is the music is their focus, is their profession. Absolutely. I was lucky that my mom, once we moved to New Jersey after New York, that she, after doing the theater stuff and whatnot, knew of the Monmouth Conservatory of Music and was like, let's try there. I obviously didn't say no. So it's important that parents have some of that foresight. And if they don't, that the young singer or older singer has that kind of foresight to try. But the whole Google situation or the YouTube aspects of things, you can do so much, you can learn so much, and so much information can be disseminated through the YouTube and whatnot, and that's wonderful. But I feel like for a first-time situation, it can be destroying.
But I mean, there are a lot of videos on YouTube how to do this, how to sing that, how to play this, how tutorials, things. I have the feeling though that if I would just follow that tutorial, it's okay to watch it. It's okay to have an additional information about that. Now, but somebody watching this video now, you cannot go out there and say, oh, well, I had a singing lesson, a voice lesson. You didn't. That's a voice lesson, something different. It's very personal. It's related to you.
Very much.
Yeah, and there's always this interaction between, a teaching person who can see what you're doing, and then, just correct you in what you're doing, and then you don't see yourself usually. You don't notice the mistakes unless somebody else is kind of a little bit, watching over you and guiding you in that path, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have about 5 minutes or so. I want to take some Q&A, but I also want to get back to some of that situation of not only the performing arts world, but the art world. And it's funny how when you were promoting your this show, it said voice and conversation. And it's so funny because I had just done a launch with art and conversation, which is an amazing.
Yeah, but I copied that. I saw that.
Oh, I had no idea. Oh, I was wondering how you got, which is great. Hey, voice and conversation, art and conversation. Anyway, art and conversation did post this advert as well. So that was so cool. And the art world has come to me through music, obviously through my mom, but also through music when I got a chance to work with Chihuly and Chihuly Glass in that sense. And then when I lived in Europe, all of a sudden I get a knock on my door from an artist. I'm Walter Verlan. You sing. Oh my God, you have an amazing voice. Come into my art studio. I want to talk to you about art and music. I'm like, okay. So, and then here I was.
Just a second. No, somebody commented before that that's your painting behind you.
No, it's not my painting. This is a painting that was given to me. I am not a painter. I wish I was.
So I clarified the question there.
I will say who it is. This is a painting by an amazing artist here in Red Bank, New Jersey. Her name is Bella Om, or sometimes she goes by Agama Om. And it's an oil-based painting. You can't really see the textures here, but when I went to go visit her on a location with Art and Conversation, she ended up giving it to me. So here I was like, oh my gosh, I need to put it up in my studio. Why not? And it's a heart. And I'm like, and she signed it and whatnot. So through this Art and Conversation, I took on the role that was offered to me as one of the ambassadors for the U.S. to present Romanian artists as well as an intercultural exchange with Romanian artists and American artists coming to Romania and Romanians coming to the U.S. and promoting fine art. Yeah, through Art and Conversation, through obviously right now they're online launches, but there will be live installations, and it's very exciting. And I sold one of my first paintings this last week, so wonderful. That's exciting. So I do broker, and if anyone is there interested in art, please let me know.
So that's who you are, right? Like,
well, that's one of the things of who I am, and that only came. I mean, art, like I said, has been part of my life in a way that has come into my life, into my career. But and a lot of times it's been through music, which I'm excited. Hey, that the two eclectic, the two worlds can collide in a beautiful mix for me, music and art. There's nothing better. I find. I went to the Van Gogh installation. If you have not seen that in New York City, you have to, because that is installation that is live, it's virtual, you're using technology as well as amazing music with art. And to me, that is just, it can sometimes surmount any opera that I see. So I didn't realize that I loved art as much as I do, and I really do. And I'm having so much more of a appreciation of fine artists, sculptors, photographers. I always have, but even more so now, and how talented they are and how much they work, just as we as musicians. And it all needs to be promoted and collective to not save our world, but make our world a better place for humanity in so many ways. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, yes. So if anybody who is with us would like to ask some questions, we are kind of here. They have lovely comments here. I don't know if you can see them.
Lovely. I can't see them, but I can't see them at this point. No. But when it streams, maybe another way I can. I'll answer anything.
Sublime.
Thank you for coming, whoever is coming. Can you say any names, Antonella? Do you know?
So Peter, Sophia.
Oh, Sophia! Oh, thank you.
And then who is there?
Well, this is exciting. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, and as somebody I don't know the name because it's just.
Okay, absolutely, because I can't see the names, or else I would say hi. But hello to all of you, and thank you for continuing to support me as a performing artist. I really appreciate that. You know who you are. I know who you are. I know who is sincere, and I love you all of you. So because we can't be fine artists, we can't be performing artists without having an audience to sing for and to show our work for. So that's very important.
So Sophia says, thank you for this delightful hour. So yeah. But just to conclude that, what what suggestions would you give to somebody who would like to start a career like yours,
Okay. I would say, 1 second, a career like mine. Career is the most different in terms of an operatic career. But I would say overall, in general, if you feel that you have a voice and you love to sing, and that others like to hear you sing, and it makes you happy, makes you alive, continue with that. Believe in that. Don't be afraid to pursue it, whether you're male or female. It's not an easy career. But you can make a career out of it. You can be happy. You may not be the richest person in the world. Don't feel like you're going in it for the money, but go in it for the love of it and the passion that you have for it, and the love that you have of your voice and wanting to give that voice to others unselfishly, because you will be fulfilled like no other. And don't give up. You'll have a lot of roller coaster rides in this field, tons of ups. And when you have some ups, you'll come down. But know when you come down, even if it's a hard fall and a long fall, you are strong enough to push yourself up and stand on your own 2 feet and say, okay, I'm back here. I'm here again. And let's do this again. And you're going to be okay. As long as you still have the faith and the love of your passion of music and your voice. And you'll get a lot of advice from a lot of people. Know to be open to it, and then know to start to eventually discern what you need and what you don't need at certain times of your career. And always, always, as much as be confident, but stay humble. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. And what are you doing then after this?
Right after this, my mom's waiting in the front of my house because we're going to go to a memorial concert that's going to be classical music at one of the big churches here that one of my voice students is singing in. Wow. And it's a memorial that's going to be sacred with orchestra. The music director happens to be an opera singer who I've not met yet. So I'm interested to hear this, to take this on and also meet her as well. And I want to thank you, Antonella, for asking me to be on this wonderful podcast. And I will never forget meeting you in Buffalo and working with you in concerts that we did together. And I know that even if I'm not there in New York and you're not here in New Jersey, that we will continue to have a musical connection, a friendship, and perform together. And hopefully we can maybe even bring it to Italy.
Yeah, who knows? Thank you so much, and have a wonderful afternoon, and hope to see you soon then.
Yes, absolutely. We have to see each other live sometime. Yeah. Okay.
Bye. Bye. Take it. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.